So, what do you do after sales engineering? I get asked that question a lot, and I wanted to take a few minutes to address this question. One, by asking the following question: why are you going into sales engineering with one foot out the door? You're gonna have to give sales engineering your best shot in order to enjoy it. And so, if you're asking that question before you even get the role as a sales engineer, please don't bother. If you're thinking what's next, it's like a basketball player trying to get into the NBA and thinking, what do I do after I retire? And they're 18 years old. So consider that before you get into that role. Now, it is a valid question, as in you want to build your career, you want to know what's next. But sales engineering in itself, in many cases, is a destination, not just a journey. You get to become a sales engineer, an expert in something. And many people spend their lives just perfecting that, becoming masters of sales engineering. But since I've been asked that question quite a bit, I'm going to answer it the way I know how. No. There are several paths beyond sales engineering. There are people who just, as I mentioned, stay sales engineers. They enjoy that role. They don't need to look elsewhere. They're fulfilled. And I think that's a big number of SEs that I know. Like even my company that I work for today, um, 3 of the 6 SEs there have been SEs for at least 10 years. So there's nothing wrong with that. But the biggest move that I see sales engineers do is go into sales. And some of the best salespeople I know were sales engineers at one point. Which, we rag on salespeople. We kind of make fun of them, but they were SEs at some point. And the reason they make some of the greatest SEs is because they understand technology. They understand how technology works. They might not know in depth how their technology works, but it's easier for them to grasp how technology in general works, and they're able to work based on that. They're able to sell based on that. And as a matter of fact, some of the VPs and directors of sales that I've worked with were formerly SEs at some point. So it is a good path if you want to move up the sales chain. If you're thinking about what's next for sales engineers. But most people who are not sales engineers trying to get into sales engineering are not thinking about going into sales at that point. But a lot of sales engineers who are thinking what's next, that is a path that they can go to. Another one is sales engineering management. The problem I see with sales engineering management, though, is that for every 10 15 SEs there's one sales engineer manager. So the role is rare. It doesn't happen often, and you're gonna have to fight for it, which is not a bad thing, really. Competition is good. It pushes you to be better, especially if it's like just you. It's not it's something that you have control over. It's not a product that you have no control over. So it pushes you to become better, and there's a lot of politics involved. But as a sales engineer manager, you have the biggest impact on your sales engineers. You're able to affect the way they think, the way they work. You're able to affect the way they affect the company. That's way too many effects in one sentence. But basically, it is a path that some SEs I know want to go down. It is a path that I consider quite often and think about actually a lot, because I do want to have a bigger impact beyond. Like, I do have an impact with we the sales engineers with the podcast, with the website and YouTube, but that's more of a passive impact. I want to have an active impact where I actually am able to physically help people in general. And that's where sales engineers managers can actually impact the company. So we already talked about sales. We already talked about staying put as an SE, sales engineer managers. Product management is a path that some sales engineers go down. You already have the presentation experience. You already have the customer experience. You just might have to get a deeper knowledge in the product itself and how it's made, and and specialize in one aspect of a product instead of being a generalist SE even when we're talking about specialist sales engineers, they might they might be experts in a product, but product managers become experts in specific features or specific parts of a product. So there's a little bit more specialization there, and you might have to learn like industry standards a little bit better. But it is a path that I see a lot of some SEs take, not a lot of SEs. A lot more SEs go into product marketing instead, because it's all about demos. It's all about showing the product in the greatest light. It's about trade shows and a lot of interactions with people. You're basically showing the product in the greatest light, as opposed to trying to build a product. So there is an option there. And I see a lot of people jump between sales engineering, product marketing, and back to sales engineering. So it's not a one-way street. You can always also go back to becoming or going back to something technical. Like I can go back to network design if I wanted to. A software designer who became a sales engineer can go back into software design if that's what they want to. So it's not a dead end as people tend to make it sound like. It is, as a matter of fact. It opens up doors. One more that I want to mention is that some SEs become CEOs of their own companies, co-founders or founders of their own companies, CEOs of their companies. A lot of them end up doing stuff related to sales engineering, like Vivan or putting the app. Like, there are companies these are founders who were sales engineers at one point who went out to do business related to sales engineering. So there is that. I've also seen some who become become resellers. So value added resellers. They become their own CEOs for that company, which is another option. The thing about sales engineering is you remain technical, but it also opens up the avenue of business. And because of that, and not just business, when you're doing a demo, that's marketing. You're showing your product. When you're doing discovery call that needs analysis, you're trying to understand what the customer needs. So if you're becoming a product manager, you can actually design a product to fit that need. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities, sales engineering, that is. If you're a technical person who wants to remain technical, like as in not go into sales engineering, you're going to be technical for the rest of your life. Even if you become a manager, you're a technical manager, right? And the business part will be harder than if you were to become an SE. Me as an SE, I'm not managing anybody. I understand the business a lot more than many managers, technical managers do, just because of the fact of where I am, because I'm exposed to it more. So if you want to open up doors, sales engineering is the way to go. Doesn't mean that's the only way. It's one way, and it's not a dead end. That's what I want to highlight here. Enough of me rambling on. That's it for today. I will see you guys next time. Peace.